Alright, this is the last episode for this week's worth of videos, but I'm going to be releasing them day by day because I've worked out how to schedule the release of videos using Hootsuite, so you guys won't notice too much of a difference. You'll just see an episode every day, but I've managed to record the commentary for a week's worth of footage on one day, so I'm managing to really kick some goals today, so I've got a lot of work done. That means I should be able to maybe sit down and smash out a week's worth of Shenmue Let's Play videos. So maybe I will be able to release 2 videos every day for a week, which should be good. But I've got to be careful not setting out to do too much work. Otherwise, if something ever comes up, it means a whole bunch of content is going to drop off. My dog seems to be barking quite a bit now, so hopefully she doesn't bark too much. I apologized for the last episode where she was barking so much. It's a bit too much of a hassle to sit down and re-record the whole video if she barks, especially if she barks so intermittently like she has been doing. But anyway, let's start the episode. So we just got this heart piece. This heart piece was underneath the waterfall here in Zora's Domain, which is basically the setting for the next dungeon that we're going to be going to. So we've been to a forest dungeon, we've been to a fire dungeon, and this is the water dungeon. I'm really glad that they are themed. I remember making a lot of 2D video games in the DOS game maker called Megazooks, like the MZX emulated game creation machine. I used to really like making themed dungeons, like having a fire dungeon, having an ice dungeon. I'm really glad there is different themes for different dungeons here in Zelda. I think it's pretty cool. Right, you'll probably see some funny cutting here because I didn't actually have enough money in order to pay this guy to jump off the ledge, so I had to do a little bit of grinding. But here we go. This diving game will get us a special scale that we'll be able to use to dive deeper, to head into Lake Hylia, and then dive and retrieve a letter from the daughter of the King Zora here that we just talked to last episode. And that will basically trigger the dungeon sequence. It'll allow us to go into the dungeon and meet Princess Ruto, and finally take care of the evil spirits inside the dungeon, in the belly of their god, King Jabu-Jabu. So just gotta do some diving. My diving is not very good at first. I didn't practice a lot, but I do complete this task before the timer ends. It's not too hard. Sometimes you can pick up 2 rupees at once, but obviously I didn't then. Right, this time I don't actually manage to get the rupee at this dive, and this makes things come right to the wire. Alright. Managed to get it. Right, let's cut to the top of the waterfall. Very, very wibbly wobbly face. Oh no, the camera's stabilized itself. But the sound is very watery, isn't it? I like it when that happens. Alright, now the next thing that we have to do is head to Lake Hylia. And if you've noticed while we were diving, there's kind of an entrance, a kind of a doorway down the bottom here. So if we dive into this doorway, we should end up in Lake Hylia, although we won't trigger the cinematic sequence. Alright, here's Lake Hylia. Now we have to find a bottle. There's a bottle with a message here somewhere. And normally you discover this bottle just by swimming around and having a good old time here in Lake Hylia, but we know where it is because this is a nostalgic Let's Play and we've all played this game before. I get a little bit lost though, I'm not actually quite sure where the bottle is. Shows you how well I remember this game. I don't remember everything perfectly, and especially as I get later on in the game, like I have to lean on the guide a little bit more to remember where the gold sculptures are and where the heart pieces are. So if we keep swimming around here, we should be able to find This is probably me checking my guide. We should be able to find the bottle. It's a bit of a pause there. Right, this should be able to take us out to the bottle. Ah, here we go. So now we have a Z targeted object, but we don't get it this dive. I don't know why we didn't get it this dive. I think maybe I didn't press the forward stick. Didn't press the forward stick far enough. Okay, this time we get the bottle. This is the third bottle that we have. I know we got one bottle by catching all the cuckoos, and I know we got this bottle from diving down to the river, the lake, but I can't remember where we got the first bottle from. I know it was quite a difficult bottle to get. Maybe it wasn't a difficult bottle to get, I can't remember. But now we have 3 bottles, which is really useful. We can carry lots of fairies. That should help us with really tough bosses. Although we don't really encounter too many bosses that force us to resort to having 3 bottled fairies yet. But I'm expecting us to need it when we get to the final boss battle. Unless the final boss battles are very easy. I don't really remember how hard it is. Alright, here's a letter from Princess Rudo. So she's in the belly of their god. And unlike many other religions, their god is an actual tangible object. It's a living creature. This is one of the benefits of having the sword spinning technique. Use it on this patch of grass here. I do enjoy doing this. It's something I wish I could do in real life. Summon fire from a sword. Right, there's a soft patch of earth here that if we put bugs into, we end up with another gold sculpture. So this is just a soft patch of earth, much like all the others. Let's make sure we catch the bugs again. We do have to wait a little bit for the gold sculpture to come out. Sometimes you think it hasn't worked, but usually most of the time it has. Alright, a token. Now we have to head out into the middle of the lake. And this will probably be one of the last tasks that we complete before this episode finishes. So I'm just trying to give you a first-person perspective on this gold sculpture here. We're not going to be able to get this gold sculpture just yet. We have to come back with a different tool and a different item in order to get it, because there's nothing we can use to return this gold sculpture from a long distance away. And the hook shot is not the object that we need, because you can't use a hook shot while you're a child. Turns out it's the boomerang. It's the thing that we get after completing the dungeon. Or it's the item that we get through completing the dungeon. I was really worried about triggering the Kapora Gabora talking sequence by getting too close to him, but it turns out that you don't actually talk to him unless you use a context-sensitive button. It's not one of those area-triggered effects. I get a bit lost from here on out. I know there's a gold sculpture somewhere in this area, but I forgot that it was on the island, the small island, as opposed to this really big island. I thought maybe if I made it night, there'd be a gold sculpture somewhere down the bottom of this tree. But that's not the case. The draw distance on the N64 is pretty large, actually. You can still see the crazy scientist's house from here. You can see the moon rising as well. So this is me getting confused. I decided to keep this in just because it's so interesting. Like, the water looks really beautiful during the day, and I do include a bit of a swimming sequence in here, just because I really enjoyed swimming around in this lake, you know, as a pointless exercise. It's my dog barking again. She only does it when we're home. She actually doesn't bark at anyone walking past the house unless we're home. I think that's because she wants to defend us. So here we go. Here's the gold sculpture that we were looking for. Actually, swimming in this lake at night reminds me of being at the beach while it's raining. I remember going to the beach a few times while it was winter for surf lifesaving, because that's a kind of a pastime that children engage in here in Australia. It's kind of like scouts, I guess, except you get trained for like beach exercises, and obviously surf lifesaving. Like, you learn how to use a board in order to swim outside, but it's really, the water at the beach, it's really, really warm while it's raining here in winter in Australia, and I think it's the case everywhere. But swimming in the lake reminds me of that. Like, it's really peaceful. You can hear the insects chirping. It's just a really cool, I don't want to say aesthetic, but it's a really cool theme to this game. The fact that there's such large open swathes of space that you can just spend time being in. It's an area that you can enjoy just passing the time, or just thinking in a contemplative way. So here's the fishing pond, and we don't actually end up fishing here as a child until at the end of the Let's Play. Like, I've recorded most of the game, but I haven't actually fished there as a child. We fished there as an adult in a few, maybe about 20 episodes, but not just yet, not as a child. Alright, we'll leave the Let's Play here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It means a lot to me, and it's really great that a lot of you guys comment and interact with me. It's really fun. It's really, really good for my mental health, like I said. So I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully you enjoyed these set of Let's Plays. Alright, I'll see you guys.